of the Moon Priestess, Luna. Excerpts from the Diary of Novice Stephanus Campus. Soon the time has come. Our worshiped Moon Priestess Luna will choose the order that will decide on her successor. To be worthy before Luna's eyes, my order sends me on a trip to our holy isles. What is this, a Feld game with a theme? We're taking a look at Luna. Now to start out, I have went ahead and set up this game for a 4-player game, and I've done it according to a pre-selected setup. Now this is nice because it's the first time you've ever played the game, or if you just want to get up and running quickly, there are numbers printed on one side of the board that you can put them in that order, and it will tell you where to place pieces. So that will just get you up and running. And if this is the first time you're playing, I definitely recommend going with that. Now Luna is played over 6 rounds, and each round has 2 phases. First you'll have the action phase and then a scoring phase. Now in addition to the player pieces and the temple and the islands, you also have these standees here, which are various characters such as the Moon Priestess herself, the Master Builder, the Temple Guard, and the Apostate, and we'll cover those in a minute. During the action phase, players will each take 1 action, and we'll cover what those are in a minute, but one special action to note is the pass action, and that doesn't take you out of the round, it simply advances the clock by turning this over. Once the last one of these is turned over, the player who does it will immediately score 1 influence point, which are the victory points, and that round will be over and we'll move into a scoring phase. The game does come with this sheet here that shows you the various actions you can take, and once you're familiar with the game, this is really useful for just reminding you of the actions. A quick overview of the actions requires that I just give you a couple basic concepts. The basic concepts are the idea of active and inactive workers, or novices. If your workers are standing up on the island, they are considered active and available to use. If they are off the island, they are considered inactive and unavailable to use. The next thing to understand is these favor tokens. And to start, each player is going to start with 2 on the islands they are not present. These you collect from the individual islands using one of these actions, and it will allow you to take some of the actions. The actions are divided up into isle actions, movement actions, temple actions, and then some other actions. The isle actions are pretty simple. You have things such as gaining a favor token, which allows you to take 2 workers and take them off and take the favor token for that island. You cannot take a favor token you already have. The next one is to recruit, and to start you will have 4 workers who are currently not out available. By taking 2 and taking them off, you will be able to put a 3rd one there, so at the start of the next round you would bring all of them up to be active. The next thing is how you get shrines out, and shrines are important because they are worth victory points at the end of the game. In fact, they are worth 4. You must do it on a tile where this Master Builder currently is. You will have 2 workers there. You'll place them both off to the side and bring in your shrine, and you also need to turn in a shrine favor token. If you don't have this, then you can't take that action. The last type of isle action you can take is a herbal action, and that allows you to return an herbal tile favor tile, to that island and reactivate 1 or 2 to one island, with the exception that you cannot do it to the herbal island itself. Movement actions start with Journey, and Journey allows you to take any number of active novices and move them to any number. However, when they arrive to the new one, they are inactive. The next type is Tide, and the Tide allows you to turn in a Tide favor token, and that allows you to take any number of active and inactives and move them anywhere else on the board, but they also will be inactive when they arrive. The third type, which is the best one, requires a sailboat token, and it allows you to take 1 or 2 novices from one isle and move them to another isle, but they do get to remain active. The next set of actions are the temple actions, and that's how you're actually going to get into the temple itself. Now, the guard here will determine how far up you're allowed to go at any time. You do need to be able to be coming from an island that matches something already available. So in this example, the blue player here could lay down one of their novices, which is the cost, and put the other one here on the herbal, which matches the island it came from. The next one that you can do is to sanctify, and that requires no cost. It does just require you take this person and move them to their spot in the temple. I'll explain how that works in a second. A note about either of those last two actions is you cannot go past this temple guard unless you have a bribery token, which is this one here. If you have that, then you can advance to the one section just past him, but that would be one to place in, and you would need another later if you wanted to sanctify. Another temple action is to do the book action. That requires a book favor token, and you can take a book from anywhere under someone else and place it under one of your own. And we'll explain why that's important in just a second. The last type of action you can do temple is the council here, and that allows you to take any number of active novices and put them face down and move your token up that many spaces. If you go into a space where there are already, then you go on top of the stack, unless it's the last spot, in which case you go under the stack. Important here is this will get some victory points at the end, and it breaks any ties in the game. Another type of action under the other action is expulsion, and that allows you to move the apostate. And you don't want to end the round being on an island with the apostate because that will lose victory points. So let's say that you had two here. You could lay one or two of them down to move him that many spaces clockwise. Another type of favor token to be aware of is the virtual novice, and that allows you to replace a novice in any action you're doing. However, you cannot use it to regain the novice favor token, and you can't do it to claim a temple token. And then, as I said before, the last action you can do is the meditation. Real quick, to discuss the way the temple works here, when you move in, you have the possibility of displacing workers. So earlier, when that blue one came in from outside to here, this yellow one, if it had not had a book under it, currently is a value 2, and I came next to it with a value 8, so this one would be expelled from the temple and placed here on the docks. Now the owner would be able to pick that person up using either a sailboat or a title token. In addition, you will get 1 victory point for each person that you expel from the temple. Once we've got to the end of the round and that last token's over, we'll do a scoring phase for the round. Now first we'll score the Moon Priestess herself. You'll count each player's active novices and any shrines they have on that island, and whoever has the most will get the large printed number, second will get the next number, and third will get the next number. Next we'll cover the apostate. In the apostate you count any active and inactive novices that you have on that island, and you take that number plus 1, and that's how many points you lose. Shrines do not factor in for this. Next, you'll get points for the temple. Each novice that you have currently residing in the temple will gain you 1 victory point. Now, something I should have mentioned earlier is when I moved that blue one in here, I also got victory points equal to wherever the temple guard was, so I would have also got 6 victory points. After this, we go prepare for the next round. So what will happen is the Moon Priestess, the apostate, the guard, and the Master Builder will all move. Now, the Priestess will move according to her large number, so she'll move 6 around clockwise, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The Builder will move 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the apostate will move to the next island. The guard will move to the next spot, picking up this. So as it moves, he will become less and less valuable. Once you've hit the end of the 6th round, players will do a final scoring phase, and then they will do a game end phase, where each shrine that you have built out there will gain you 4 points. Something I should have noticed, you only are allowed to build one of your shrine on each island. You also will get 1 victory point for each unused favor token in your possession, and you will gain 1 influence points according to your position here in the council. Whoever has the most points is the winner. So that's a look at Luna. Now before I get into the review, I do want to mention that I forgot in the overview to state that the shrines, in addition to being points at the end of the game, also reduce the cost of the priest favor and the promotion action by 1 novice. Just thought I would clear that up before we get into this. So this game is a Feld game. There's no getting around that. It's gonna be a point salad, but I really do enjoy the way this game plays out. Now, in the setup that I showed the pre-selected. If you do the regular game, you actually do put those islands out randomly, and then players go around in a preliminary round placing out their starting novices and starting shrine. So there's a bit of a randomness to that. Outside of that, there is nothing random in this game, and that's good and it's bad. It's good in the fact that that means this game, win or lose, is completely up to your strategy other than what your opponents do. The bad side to that is that means this game could start to feel very samey after a while, because although the islands could be in different places and the starting position of the shrines and the starting position of the priestess, it's just not going to feel very different after a while, especially if you play it with the same group. This is one of those games that after you know how to play, I recommend playing it with different people, because how they react is really going to be what changes the game. The components in the game are decent. This is the version I have is the Tasty Minstrel reprint, and I don't see where they really changed anything. The player card, the player aid in the game is actually really nice. It really does lay out exactly what you can do, because while the game is not terribly difficult, there's a lot to remember in terms of what you can do. The two things that I really do enjoy about this game is, one, the passing mechanism itself. It puts this get it done or your players at the table will force you to not be able to. So especially if someone takes a pass token real early in the game, you're going to feel that pressure to figure out what you need to do quickly. And you could find that your plans prematurely get ended on you. The other thing I love about this game is while you're playing the current round, you really have to think about the next round in this game. You can't just be focused on the round you're in, because you need to think about where your novices are going to become active again at the start of the next round. So I love that sort of thinking. Now, some people may find this game a little too thinky, and it's definitely going to be overwhelming for players the first time they play it. There's no way around it. I say that this game, you need to at least have played it once, maybe 2-3 times before it really starts to click and fire. Beyond that, there's nothing wrong with the game. There's nothing glorious here. It's a Feld game, as I said. If you're already a fan of Feld games, you're going to want this game. If you're not a fan of Feld games, well, this might be the game that makes you a fan of at least one Feld game. One other thing about this game is the theme. Now, Stefan Feld games tend to get a rep for, while they're thinky, they have point salad, they're solid Euros, the theme tends to feel like an afterthought. In this one, the theme actually felt integrated. I felt like I was working towards my order becoming the next moon priestess, and that really worked for me. It was surprising. I felt like I really did need to run away from this apostate who was trying to turn people away from the moon priestess. So the theme on this one surprisingly worked. So this is a great Feld game, both for people who love Feld games and possibly for those who don't like Feld games. So it's going to stay in my collection for a while, maybe not forever. I'm unsure. I feel like eventually I might get tired of it, and I just don't see a way around that. But as long as I play it with different people, we'll see how long it lasts. I hope this has helped you decide if you would like to pick this game up, being that it is now available again. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Hi, I'm Luna, the Moon Priestess. Will you guard my temple and make sure no bad people get in? Of course I will. That is my job. I am the temple guard. Oh, you're the best. Ha ha ha! No one will ever worship you, Luna. I will
Defeat everyone and turn them away! Wahaha! Wahaha! I am the Master Builder. I will run away from you.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.